Hi everyone. In today's video, I'm going to take you through the oral examination checklist for Chief Mate candidates as described by the Australian Maritime Safety Authority or AMSA. Now, although this checklist is particularly useful if you are appearing for orals in Australia, you can also use this checklist for anywhere else because it gives you the guidance on what topics to prepare if you are going for Chief Mate or examinations. So let's get started with the checklist. For those of you who want to know where I get the checklist from, you can get it from the AMSA website. If you just type in AMSA form 273 or oral examination checklist for Chief Mates. Now, this is the checklist that the surveyor will generally use, and they might start in any order. They might focus on a particular area depending on your strengths and weaknesses, or if you lead them into areas which are related to these areas. As you would see that a lot of these topics are quite similar to the second mate candidates, the video I made previously, and it's in the link section below as well. However, the level at which you answer these questions will differ because now you are going for your oral examination as a chief officer, which means that you are kind of a stand-in master or a training master, and you will not really have the luxury to call the ship's master unless extreme circumstances. But as far as I know, most of the surveyors will expect you to take care of things on your own and not really call the master. You can inform the master, but you have to solve the problem or take care of everything as a chief mate. So you can see the first criteria itself is management and ship master's business if we are starting from the left. And this is again because you can see the checklist is a chief mate checklist, but we are talking about management and ship master's business. The reason is, again, like I told you, when you go for your chief mate orals, they expect you to answer all questions like a ship's master. So here you have to know about certification, endorsement, classification societies, conditions of assignment of load line, survey programs, responsibilities of class, flag state, port state, so on and so forth. I don't want to read all the points. You can do that yourself. But you can see here how the focus is on codes, conventions, certificates, and you have to know about all this and a little bit in depth. OHS is important as well, official logbook entries, garbage record book, oil record book, approved stability information, so on and so forth. Taking over joining ship as a chief mate, handing over responsibilities, types of charters. So the focus is a lot on the business and law and the commercial aspect, which includes your conventions as well. So make sure you read up on it. If you are particularly appearing for examination in Australia, then you must know about Australian rules and regulations, which means going into the AMSA website, making yourselves very familiar with the marine orders, which have recently been introduced. Anywhere else, make sure that you have read up on the latest marine notices or similar conventions that come out. You must also focus a lot on knowing about the certifications. A lot of chief mate candidates, they make mistakes in certificates required for ships. If you are sailing on a particular type of ship and you need some special certificates for those type of ships, then you must know about those ship certificates as well, other than all the basic certificates. Again, we come to standards of watchkeeping now. This is the middle part. So standards of watchkeeping, again, you are supposed to be knowing how to keep a lookout, maintain an anchor watch. The basics of navigation was something that you should be knowing from a second mate's perspective. Only this time, if there are any issues or any problems that are posed to you, then you have to answer like a master. You do not have the luxury of calling the ship's master in these cases, just like you have when you were a second mate candidate. Then you can see in bridge equipment, although there are lots of bridge equipment, the focus is on the AIS, ARPA, EGDIS, bridge navigation, watchkeeping systems and arrangements, VDRs, voice data recorders, testing of bridge equipment, use of S-band and X-band radar. Now remember, if you have studied on the surface of these equipments. Do not try to lead the surveyor into the depths of it. The surveyor, being very experienced, will know whether you know it or not. And then if there are certain technical questions asked of you, be honest enough to tell them that your knowledge is only from an operational point of view, not from a technical point of view. Stress and stability is the next topic, where you are asked effect of density on draft, freshwater, freshwater allowance and dock water allowance calculation, free surface effect, IMO minimum stability criteria, and so on and so forth. Remember, as a chief mate, this will be one of your most important sections, because a chief mate's job is to be able to calculate the ship stability, know about the ship stability, because the master also relies on chief mate for accurate calculation of ship stability. Make sure that you are very confident in this section. If any questions are asked in this section, spend maximum time preparing for this section here. So then we move on to navigation charts and publications. Again, something that you will take or you will bring forward as a second mate candidate into a chief mate oral examination. However, again, like I told you, this time, if there are any issues with any bridge equipment, charts, publications, you must know how to correct it. You must know how to take care of the problem. If a junior officer approaches you, then you must be able to answer or solve that problem rather than calling the ship's master. In your answers, of course, you can say, I will inform the master, I will let the master know, or I'll keep the master in the loop. But the surveyor will expect you to act like a senior officer and take care of most of the things yourself. Then we move on to cargo work, which is again the second most important thing for a chief officer after ship stability. So as a chief officer, your priority will be on ship stability, and the second will be on cargo work, because these are the primary duties of a chief officer. That doesn't mean that you don't study on rules of the road. The surveyor will expect you to be an expert in rules of the road, considering that you have already been a watchkeeping officer. But for candidates who are struggling with time, I would suggest that you focus on ship stability and cargo work thoroughly. When we come to cargo work, you can see the topics are already here. However, the point that I want to talk about is that if you have sailed only on a particular type of ship, then you must know everything about that ship regarding cargo work. For example, if I have sailed on container ships, the surveyor will expect you to know everything about container ships, right from loading, discharging the cargo, ballast arrangements, ship stability criteria, everything. Regarding any other type of ships that you may not have sailed on, you are at least expected to have the theoretical knowledge and the theoretical background about these ships, about lashing arrangements, about stability criteria. For example, if you have never sailed on timber ships or grain cargo or grain carriers rather, you must know at least about their stability requirements. You must know about the issues that affect or influence that stability of those ships. For example, what happens if the timber on deck absorbs a lot of water during sea sprays or rough seas? What happens to the center of gravity? Why are there extra load lines on the timber ships? What is the need for those extra load lines? So on and so forth. You must at least have a theoretical knowledge of it. How to write standing orders, night orders, these are not mentioned here, but this is part of your cargo watch and cargo work knowledge. Then ship handling, of course, is the next section. So ship handling is, of course, it's more from a master's point of view. And again, like I said, because a chief officer is considered an acting master or a deputy master, you are supposed to know a lot about ship handling as well. However, like I said, not to a master's level. Prevention of pollution is the next. Now, let me tell you here that it's very important these days, and that is what oral examiners expect, that when you talk about safety, you talk about stability, mention a little bit about the managing pollution as well, or managing, prevention of pollution. So if there are any emergencies that are thrown at you and you have to answer how you will manage those emergencies, make sure to mention how you took care of the pollution, or rather the prevention of pollution, how you took care of it. Then comes emergency situations, response and equipment. Again, some of it you will bring forward from your second mate's knowledge. And then The rest is, of course, more from a senior's point of view. For example, here you can see in the checklist itself, it's written master's obligation to render assistance. That means you should know what is a master's obligation. Although you have come for your chief mates orals, you must be aware of a master's obligation to render assistance. What will you do if you lose cargo or you lose lifeboat? So, from a commercial aspect, from a regulation aspect, so on and so forth. Then dry docking also is very important, especially the stability requirements of a vessel in dry dock or before dry dock or after dry dock. That is very important. Search and rescue operations, I will classify it under the ship handling. So you are supposed to know it and you're supposed to be answering it like a ship's master. But in my experience, the surveyor will not go very deep into it. But unless, of course, you show a lack of knowledge. But yes, surface knowledge is sometimes enough. Then essential shipboard machinery and equipment. This includes lifeboat release and retrieval systems, knowledge of safety aspects, then EEBDs, types of fire detection systems, SCBAs, so on and so forth. Rules of the road and English language is the last two sections. So rules of the road, I always tell my students, whether they are going for ship's master's orals or chief officer orals, doesn't matter. Your knowledge of the rules of the road should be as good as it was when you went for your second mate's orals. So a lot of chief mate candidates answer questions very well, but when it comes to answering questions related to rules of the road, they falter, they make mistakes because they underestimate. They think that they know it, but the surveyor sometimes finds them in situations which the chief mate candidates are unable to answer to the surveyor's satisfaction. So my recommendation to you will be the top three areas is ship stability, cargo work, rules of the road as a chief mate candidate. These are the top three. Then if I have to list the next one is ship certificates, legal law, conventions. This is the fourth one. The fifth one is, of course, dry docking and emergencies. And then I would study the rest of it, like bridge equipment, navigation charts, standards of watchkeeping. This is, all I will put towards the bottom of my list of priorities. I'm not saying don't study it. I'm just saying that if you are lacking time or if you want to really gain command over areas, my top 4 or 5 will be those areas. All right, thank you for watching today's video, guys. And in my next video, I will discuss the checklist for the ship's master's candidates. It's a good idea for you to go through this checklist before you start preparing for oral examination. Otherwise, you will find yourself lost at times. There is so much to study that you would not know how to structure it logically. This checklist provides the structure. It provides the preparation guidelines for candidates. So along with the past examination questions and this checklist, keep it handy, prepare for it together, involve your friends in preparation, ask each other questions. That is the way to go for it. Thank you for watching and bye for now.